Before we get into today's topic, I'd just like to say this video is proudly sponsored by FS Academy, and guess what? They've got a new range of mission packs available for Microsoft Flight Simulator for PC and Xbox users. Now prepare yourself for some very exhilarating situations that include emergency procedures and malfunctions, hazardous weather. You can even recreate the miracle on the Hudson. They also come with necessary charts, procedures, even a ground school to get you up and running. And don't forget, these missions are from a real world airline captain. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel once again. In this video I'm going to give you 5 reasons to buy or not to buy a Pimax Crystal. We're currently in IFR conditions heading to East Midlands in the default citation in MSFS. So let's start with the bad stuff. The first one, Pimax have still yet to really cement their reputation in the VR industry, and I don't think in some ways the Crystal has helped them, because this headset is complicated. In fact, I would go as far as to say that this headset has a personality disorder. You know, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a high-end VR headset, but it also has a battery because they wanted to make it standalone, although standalone capability of this, in terms of, say, standalone gaming, is all but just not even a thing. I mean, I haven't even tried it. Well, I did try it once, actually, and it looked awful, and I went straight back to PC VR mode. Thankfully for flight simulation, none of that really matters, because as a PC VR headset, flying with it, it is exceptional. But it has to be said that Pimax as a company, they're still not really where they should be at all. And in many ways you do take a bit of a gamble when you buy a Crystal. You could get a really good one like this one, or you could get a really bad one. But keep in mind, my Discord channel is full of happy Crystal owners, as is my comment sections and Facebook. But there is the odd one or two here and there that have had a horrendous time with Pimax. So, you know, it seems like there is a gamble when you buy this headset, which is a shame. So the second reason I would say is the bulkiness of this headset and just the overall weight. It is a big headset, and for me that's not a problem. In fact, in some ways I quite like it because I feel like I'm wearing a helmet. The way it just, I feel enclosed in the headset, which then gives me more of an immersion, which I know probably sounds cheesy, but that's just how it is with me. With the DMAS audio and just the way, you know, it kind of just sits around me, it does feel like I'm wearing a helmet. But for a lot of people that might be a problem, because I know Mark from the Sim Hanger, fantastic channel guys, highly recommend his content. He finds the Crystal far too heavy for his neck, you know, even though he loves the visuals. They are the best visuals out there, there's no question about that. But if you can't keep in the headset for more than an hour or so, it's not really worth it. So keep in mind that, you know, I mean, there's lots of different accessories you can get, especially the Pimax top strap, which I've either shown on the channel or it's going to come soon. That makes a huge difference to the comfort of this thing. It really does. And I find this all day comfortable. And most people, I think, are on the more sort of it's comfortable than not comfortable sort of, you know, range. I think, you know, when you look at it on the video right now, you think, oh my god, it looks like I've got a brick on my head. But it actually is quite balanced. There are people out there that just find the weight too much, and that's fair enough. So keep in mind that that might be a deal breaker for you, but again, it's a personal preference. The third thing about the Crystal is, well, it's obvious, it's the battery, isn't it? You know, it's less of an issue these days than it was when it first came out with the, well, I won't say the Pimax hub because that's rubbish, but if you get your own powered hub, it will last a very long simming session. I'm talking 4 to 5 hours, and then even then you've got a battery, a spare one, which you can then swap over. So it's not really a massive issue, but it is still a pain. It's something you have to think about, and it's always in the back of your mind. Having said that though, it's because of that XR2 chipset, which is buried in this casing somewhere, which gives it inside out tracking, which then saves you money. So it's one of those sort of necessary evils in a way. And as I say, the battery lasts long enough for me, but it definitely is a negative. Okay, number 4, and I'm already struggling now because, well, the first one was probably a few points in one, but maybe chromatic aberration. I mean, it's not something I'm very sensitive to see, but if I look at that magenta line there, that's always a funny colour in VR. You know, I can see a little bit of chromatic aberration, but, you know, it's no worse than other headsets I've seen. But for some people, that might be a real deal breaker. There is chromatic aberration in this headset. So, you know, in fact, it's weird because I've tried a number of different crystals, and some of them are worse than others. In fact, I remember once when I tried a pre-production crystal, it had loads of Mura, and then this one I've got now, my own, is like amazing. There's no Mura at all. It's a beautiful display. So they do vary in consistency. So maybe I can tie that in as number 4 is sort of the general consistency of the lenses and the display, the chromatic aberration and Mura can vary between headsets. But if you have one that you're not happy with because it's got Mura or whatever, you know, just replace it, guys. And today, these are still expensive headsets. They need to be right. So I think number 5, I think, is generally the build quality of this headset. While it's fine, I think it will last years. I've already had mine for over 8 months, and I use it pretty much every day for simming. It does kind of feel a little bit on the cheap side in places, but in fact, if anything, it reminds me a little bit of a HTC Vive in terms of the plastics. They're not, you know, amazing, but they're not terrible either. But it has to be said, build quality isn't the best. Look at this weather here. It's absolutely disgusting out here. I'm trying to keep to 250 knots here, 8,000 feet. Don't want to get told off. So let's now talk about the good stuff. I did mention that this is my favourite VR headset, even after all of those things. That is because the visuals, the image quality in VR is sensational. Even though it does have a sort of geometric sweet spot, once you're in it, it is fine as I move my eyes around. It's about sort of 85% clear to the edge, probably 90. And I do feel that it's just going to be the best value image quality you can get in VR in 2024. Number 2 is the DMAS audio, which I highly recommend speccing that up with your Crystal. The audio makes a huge difference to the immersion. As you know, I've mentioned it many times before. And, you know, I hate wearing headphones in any VR headset, even the big screen beyond. It's not so much because it makes it feel bulky, because this headset is bulky. It's because it makes you feel hot in VR with big cans on your ears. You know, all of that heat's going straight into the headphones and back into your head again. It makes you feel more claustrophobic. But with floating ear design speakers like this, you just feel more free in VR, and I can move them like this, you know, and they sound great. They really do sound brilliant. Number 3 has to be, I guess, just the field of view of this headset. You know, it's a true 102 degrees. I've measured it now, which is very, very nice. It's more than enough for my needs personally. Unless you're an 8KX user, you might be a bit shocked by it initially, but then the overall clarity and sweet spot will take over and you'll just love it. So yeah, field of view, fantastic. Number 4, well, as I say, I could have mentioned the QLED panel separately, but I haven't, and that's because there's many things about this headset that I love. Number 4 is the inside-out tracking, which means it's cheaper, you don't need base stations, and for seated experiences, or if you're in a motion rig like me, it just works really well, and they've refined it over time. It may not be as good as the Quest 3 for tracking, but for this channel and for flight simulation purposes, it is absolutely fine. No problems at all. Well, for my use case scenario, you know, I'm just sat down flying. It's just not an issue at all. And I can look behind me as well, look guys. Oh, like this. Even with a wall like there, and it never fails anymore. It used to, but it's much better now. So no problems there at all. So if we just recap then, the image quality is the best in class. That includes the QLED panel, the resolution, the spheric lenses, no God rays or glare. That could be 5 points on their own. It's just a fantastic place for your eyes to be. The DMAS audio is also fantastic, and it's really nice to have an off-ear audio solution. All VR manufacturers should do this. Pity they don't, but it really is a great feature of the Crystal. The field of view, I think is really, really nice as well, with 102 or so both sides. Feels really nice, and definitely is a huge upgrade for those coming from, say, a Reaver G2. The inside-out tracking is, again, fantastic and saves you a whole heap of cash. I also like how it comes with controls as well. That's really cool. So it's a full package and microphone. Although the microphone, as you know, pops a lot. And again, sorry if you can hear that on this video. I will be using a different solution very soon. I think the last point about the Crystal is the fact that it's very modular, actually. You can use different tracking solutions if you want with the faceplate. You can also, I think, in the future, you're going to have a colour pass-through availability. I'm looking forward to trying that out this year. There's going to be a WiGig module, as I say, so even though we do have a battery, in some ways that's a good thing as well, because it gives you more options. It's just amazing to think what this headset can do for the price. If you now consider, I think people are starting to realise that VR, you know, a high-end headset does cost a lot of money, and people are getting jaded because of the Quest 3. Meta can afford to lose loads of money on their VR headsets. Most companies cannot do that, and in terms of high-end VR, that is a DisplayPort connection, aspheric lenses, all the rest of it, you know, it doesn't really get any better than the Crystal right now. It's a bit like buying a high-performance car. It needs more maintenance. There is that possibility of reliability being an issue, but when it works, as it is at the moment, and has been, you know, for me for 9 months now, it is a superb package. It really is. Just be aware that Pimax as a company, they're not the most reputable out there. And even though I know many people try and do the hate Pimax thing to get more views and stuff like that, the real honesty of it, the real truth, is the fact that this headset for flight simulation is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please do feel free to subscribe. Let me know your experiences with the Crystal, and I'll see you again very soon. Stick around for the landing in a moment if you want to, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. It's funny, you know, because as you've seen from probably my other videos, I often do ILS approaches, but I've kind of been caught out here. I didn't realise the weather was this bad, and I haven't got the frequency for the ILS. And I could add it in, and I will if I struggle with this landing now, but that is a very good landmark, so I know that the airport is very close by, and the visibility is just enough for me to sort of scud run underneath the clouds. So with that in mind, I'm going to go gear down, and I'm looking for those runway lights. It's funny because when I checked the weather before, I can see them now, there they are, it was actually quite clear over this area, so it's changed since we've been in the air. But I can see the runway. There we go, we have the runway in sight, looking good. And, you know, folks, that's just my opinion on the Crystal. You're more than welcome to disagree with me. It's fine. There's no need to get so emotional about this. In fact, the Crystal has definitely made people emotional on both sides. The people who absolutely love it, like me, and the people who absolutely hate it. I think it's down to people's experiences. But whatever side of the fence you are on, thank goodness they are here, because beggars can't be choosers, and I'm really low on the glide slope here. And for high-end PC VR, for this kind of price, there isn't much out there at the moment, folks. So I'm very glad that the Crystal exists, and it's still being made and being supported. Right, here we go then. There is actually a bit of wind here. A little long. And again, we've got a bit of a crosswind, but that was a really gentle touchdown. Not quite on the centre line, but considering it was a crosswind of about 25 knots gusting, that'll do. Right, I'm off now. Thanks for watching. See you soon. And actually, that completes a 3-hour session now in the Pimax Crystal. I've made 2 videos on this particular run today. So you may have noticed I'm wearing the same thing, that's why. And I feel fine in the headset, especially with my accessories, that is the Pimax top strap. which really does make the headset very, very comfortable. And I feel like flying some more, you know. Actually, I'm not done yet today. I might fly somewhere else now. Oh, I just love the freedom you have in this sim. It's fantastic, isn't it? Right then, I'm definitely going now. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.